Okay. So, the movie.
Yeah, do we like to hold them or do we?
I kind of like holding it.
I like holding it as
We
well.
got mini microphones.
Okay. I feel like I'm gonna tape it to a stick.
Like a cigarette holder.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, we saw. Oh, I don't want to lose this. Take that.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put it
We saw 28 Years Later.
and it was
And it was interesting.
Rating, okay. Just give it a flat 1 to 10. Should we do stars or 10? 1 to 10.
We can do 10.
Okay, 1 to 10.
Because we can go points. Like
1 to 10, we'll say it at the same time.
Okay. Hold on.
So we'll go 1, 2, 3, go.
Okay.
And then we'll say it.
Okay.
You gotta say go, then we'll say it. Let me think of my number.
Yeah.
Let me think of my number. Let me be genuine. Let me be honest. Okay.
Well, wait. Before we do this, what classifies as a 1 and what classifies as a 10?
Okay.
Because I was just going to go off of like vibes in general.
Okay, so let's decide on what between us is a 1.
Is 1 like the most dog shit movie we've ever seen in our whole life, or is 1 just like in comparison to the other 28 days later?
Do we put it on a zombie scale? Do we keep it just flat horror? Can we do 2 different scales?
Yes. Okay, so general horror movie.
Okay, what's the worst horror film you've ever seen?
Probably that tire one. or no, Alice in Murderland. Remember that? Alice in Murderland. Shout out Alice in Murderland.
That's gonna be number 1 then, because
Okay.
I can genuinely.
Or that one with that puppet fucking Nazi. That you gaslight me, always gaslight me that that movie didn't exist, but it absolutely did exist. There was a puppet at a toy convention, and it was a Nazi, and it was killing people.
You saw it with me though.
I don't think I did, but I tried to tell you about it, and you're like, "That's not real."
It doesn't sound real.
It was a real movie.
I think I'm valid enough.
But either way, yes. And then 10.
So Alice in Murderland 1.
Yeah.
Absolute dog shit, but reasonably so.
Yeah, but and then again, we have the whole entertainment level.
That's a different thing. So Alice in Murderland, number 1. Or
yes.
It would be a 1. What is the best horror movie that we can both agree on is a 10? Not the best, maybe, because we would have favorites.
Yeah,
what is a 10 to us, though?
Well, like...
Be honest.
Because maybe I would say...
Because there could be more than 1. There could be more than 1
Yeah,
10.
if we're talking, like... I mean, just on, like, scale level. If we're talking pure horror movie status. Like, like what makes a good, solid horror movie, I would personally say Hereditary.
I would give a Hereditary.
Because it genuinely was scary. Yeah. Like, there's no doubting about it.
Yeah.
It had shock value. Yeah. That, like, with...
I won't forget it.
I won't ever forget that scene. I'm gonna be honest with you. There's actually quite a bit about that movie that I won't ever forget. If I'm being straight up.
With someone else's family.
Yeah, and I know that it feels. I like hesitated because I don't like. It's one of those that I feel like is so popular that it's hard to like. Always be like, oh, it's not a hidden, it's not like a secret. It
doesn't have to be a secret.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Alice in Murderland.
No, it's not a deep cut like Alice in Murderland.
It's not a deep cut.
Yeah, I just feel like
there can be more than one.
I can see how people would call it maybe overhyped or whatever, but I think that the cinematography,
the acting's good. The movie looks great.
Yeah,
it's scary.
It's symbolic.
It's also very. I would say it's pretty original.
It's original. It's metaphorical.
Good.
Yeah, so that's why I say like 10 because I think that's like a true horror movie. And obviously there's the paranormal aspect, which is different from other. But like if we're just talking about what makes a horror movie,
good. I would say that. I would say that would be a 10.
Yeah,
I could put a 10 on that.
Yeah, or like something like that.
Yeah,
because
we just need a metric.
We also can defend anything, but like, yeah, I'm just saying if we're like basing it on like quality, yeah. I can excuse racism, but I draw a line at animal cruelty.
Okay, so
yeah,
So Alice in Murderland is sitting on one side of the scale
versus like Hereditary,
versus movies like Hereditary.
Yeah,
that we both the same kind of vibe.
In my defense, I was going to say something like Skinamarink, but I think that's a little controversial.
That word.
I know you don't like the word. But
I don't like the word.
But it's because it was genuinely scary and all that. Yeah. But I can also see how it's like maybe too much of an art film for if we're talking. Like,
I still put that as 10 because it was scary to me, and I don't want to ever watch it again.
Yeah, I mean, and you know what? Valid. So okay, so
But
that is our scale.
Yes, I understand. That's going to be the working, socially acceptable scale. If people watched Alice in Wonderland, they would be like, yeah, that's a 1. People who watch Hereditary
could understand in like a general way how that is a top tier horror movie. Not necessarily
right next to Conjuring. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to
I was going to say the first Conjuring too. Yeah.
Okay. Now with that in mind, now that we have the scale established,
the number.
Think of a number. I already have mine. I'm going to be honest. I just went into my soul and picked it.
Yeah, I think I have mine. Okay.
Okay. So
on after go, right?
Yeah, we're going to do 3, 2, 1, go, and then say it.
Okay.
Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
6.2.
You know what? Not bad. I didn't know we were doing decimals, but I would say
I was gonna say because I don't want to just give
6.2. I'm just gonna say it's a 6.0 for me.
Yeah,
I'm gonna lock that in.
Fair. I was gonna say higher, but if we're talking like on the grand scheme of things, it because honestly, zombie
define
movies.
6.2.
Okay, yeah.
What's the point two? Why is
listen. Zombie movies for me aren't inherently scary.
Yeah,
they just aren't, and like there is a separate place for the first 28 days later. 100% for me.
Can I confess something?
Yes.
I don't remember the 28 days later, but I do like 28 weeks later.
I actually know you love 28 weeks later because I remember watching it with you for the first time.
Clips of 28 days later, I would know. Yeah. Oh, that's 28 days.
I think
I just haven't seen it as many times as I've seen.
If we're talking
R.I.P. Jeremy Renner in that movie, I believe his character's name was Doyle.
Yeah, rip my boy.
You know who else was in that movie? I watched it recently.
Who?
The guy who plays the dude Mercutio in the Romeo and Juliet.
The guy who plays the dude.
Well, I figured out I remembered his name afterwards.
Oh, Jamie Kennedy in the Romeo and Juliet one.
Mercutio is the black guy.
Oh,
the best.
Right. I forgot who I remember. Yeah. Yes, I remember now.
He's the helicopter pilot. Yeah. I was like, oh shit.
Oh, yeah. That's like me finding out Idris Elba's in Prom Night and being like,
oh yeah, he is.
He is, and then his shitty little English rap music's in it too.
Oh, slay!
And that's how I found out he has a secret rap career.
I knew
it's
that,
like the weird bad British rap
from Twitter.
Yeah. The popcorn ASMR. Okay,
that's
but
true.
So on a scale of zombie movies, I would actually say 28 Days Later is probably number 1 for me if we're talking about actually scary zombie movies. Because it's a Guillermo del Toro. The real monsters are the humans.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Where it's like it's more about the cruelty of man, and it freaks me out. Genuinely, the scene he's with, I don't know what you remember from the movie, but he's with a girl, like a teenage girl, and a slightly older woman. Mm-hmm. And he's been, despite the fact that he doesn't like remember nothing or whatever, he's been like good with these people the whole time. And they finally find soldiers, and they're like, "Oh my God, we're saved!"
Yeah,
and they separate Cillian Murphy from the girls, and Cillian Murphy's like, so what's the plan?
Yeah.
And homeboy legit looks Cillian Murphy in the face and says, "I promised them women." And then you just see them dress up these women in dresses, and then he ends up going apeshit, obviously, and saves them. But the implication is enough that for me that was truly horrifying. And it's also like honestly, if you rewatched it, I think you would see a lot of parallels to it in this movie, because the way they shot stuff is very, very similar.
Yeah, they did the whole like film grainy
the like weird zoom ins and like the stuff. It's very early 2000s horror at sometimes. Like it kind of gives Saw at sometimes with like the jerky camera and the like weird uncomfortably close angles and stuff.
Total sidebar, but I recently rewatched Man on Fire, and the way that I was sick to my stomach by the way the camera would move, like zoom in. It was like early 2000s Michael Bay film.
Okay.
And it's just like an like if you've ever seen Bad Boys 1, it was exactly the same.
Okay.
You've never seen Bad Boys 1? No. Have you? Okay, well, that's a different thing. I can't believe. Have you seen Bad Boys 2?
I haven't seen any of the Bad Boys movies.
We might have to watch the Bad Boys movie.
There's a lot we have to watch, dude. I'm sorry, we had different upbringings. I don't know what to tell you.
But anyways, I know what you're talking about, where it's like that specific.
Yeah, it's
a lot
like
of like,
it
the
was
old.
Yeah, indie early 2000s horror films
There's
had
not
a
like
vibe.
those commercials that are like, you wouldn't download a pizza.
Yes, you wouldn't download a car. You wouldn't download a fucking Kia Soul. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, the like grungy ass that kind of stuff. They did a lot of that in there, and I'm sure you got the vibe because like I know you like Saw and stuff like that too, so you understand what I meant. But like that is just how the first movie is shot in its entirety, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I really like that because it felt like even stylistically they were doing a callback.
Yeah.
But on like so I hold 28 Days Later in a high place in my heart. I think 28 Weeks Later is fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't think it's better
R.I.P.
than
Doyle.
R.I.P. Doyle. I don't think it's better than 28 Days Later.
I would have to agree, but that's just the problem with sequels.
Yes. No, but also it's just as crazy.
28 Weeks Later is like a situation that was handled. They really fucked it up.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where it's really unfortunate to have that sequel.
No, it's just a bad situation. So,
and
that's
kid with that big ass forehead, he really fucked things up.
Well, dude, their dad just really fucked things up for
yeah,
everyone.
The fucking little Rumpelstiltskin from Once Upon a Time.
Is it fucking David Tennant? Is that?
No, it's the dude.
It is Rumpelstiltskin.
Rumpelstiltskin.
He fucking looks like David Tennant. If it's not him, it's just it's not the Whisper. It's British people. Yeah. Okay. Well, either way, it is a great movie, and the story for me was genuinely shocking.
28 Days Later again.
Yeah.
I bet you. I mean, I know it's probably better.
Yeah. I just like because I don't find gore. I mean, I know you don't either, but gore is like particularly scary. I like.
No, it's fun.
I think it's like
if it's a practical effect, it's fun.
You're like,
look at that. That's like the
headshots. The headshots in this movie were crazy.
I didn't like the way they shot them. Like it was like a weird freeze frame after. It made it look weird. Like for some reason, the combination of nowadays CGI mixed with that film grain, it didn't mesh well. It kind of was like it was breaking my immersion.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, and like
it kind of reminded
me. The gore was shot in such a way that it made it like the blood was like a visual effect and not a practical effect. Yeah. And I want it to be a practical effect. I want there to be a goddamn tube in there.
Yeah, and it doesn't look realistic, and not necessarily that this is the peak of realism.
No, but it did cheapen. I felt like it cheapened this,
especially again because 28 Days Later, if it's part of the franchise, right? 28 Days Later is very realistic in the sense that everything's like grungy as fuck, and like they didn't have the budget to be doing CG and all that stuff, so they had to do it to where it looked more real and not just like the shock value of like headshots. Like they were trying to be John Wick, but with arrows, you know?
It was cool. I did like the sequences, but I didn't like the way that it had that weird like freeze frame situation. Like it was like a kill shot.
No, I know. It reminded me of a video game, and like every time you get a kill, it just like slows a little.
I was like, okay.
No, it was funny, but like I get what you mean. I didn't understand. I gotta say, I don't get how they're still around, considering in 28 Weeks Later, they literally said blatantly that they're starving. They're starving out, and that's why they're able to rebuild a little bit. So I don't know how that many could survive to 28 years later unless there are like weird cultist people who are like sacrificing people.
So I'm going to assume that in 28 Weeks Later, when they re-break out, that it must be something mutated.
Yeah.
Because, like, he became infected from the person who was a carrier, maybe. If I'm going to get inside of the mind of the baby and I have to justify it, that might be the situation.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't want to write that narrative for them, though.
I think my issue, well, and my issue going into it was I don't know how they're going to kind of like make that make sense because
I think they're hoping that you don't read too much into it.
that you didn't see the other two.
That you maybe skipped Doyle.
Okay, but you maybe skipped over Doyle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so it's like when you go to skip one of the Halloween movies.
Yeah,
because the lore doesn't make sense. Okay, yeah.
Like the one where she's in like the crazy hospital swallowing the pills. Is that canon?
I don't remember. I know there's one where they make Jamie Lee Curtis like his sister or some shit.
Oh, you know what? There's the one, and I don't know the Halloween lore, but is the one that was the remake in like the early 2000s, maybe not early 2000s, maybe 2008. I would have to look it up.
I don't know.
The one that they made where his like mom was a stripper or some shit like that.
Yeah, there's been multiple on his backstory that have kind of messed up. Yeah, so you kind of just gotta like,
where like the baby that he wants to kill is Jamie Lee Curtis.
There's like, yeah, it's like a weird multiverse of Michael Myers.
But I don't know if that's you know what? Let's look up canon movies. Canon movies. Keep talking.
Okay. Yeah. So
okay,
that
I looked it up faster than you can talk. Okay. That's the internet, baby. Okay. The Halloween movie franchise has multiple timelines, making it complex to determine what's considered canon. The main timelines are the original 6, so 1 through 6.
I'm sorry, does it say 1 through 4? Oh, what's this 1 through?
It says 1 through 6.
Oh,
and
legitimately looks like it's like 1 through 41. I was like, Jesus Christ!
And the H2O timeline, Halloween 1, 2, H2O, and Resurrection. The Rob Zombie. This one I'm talking about. The Rob. I got you a Rob Zombie poster. And for you, Lil Uzi. So the 2018. I'm talking about the 2018. So those are different timelines.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
Yeah,
Halloween 1,
so
2018, Kills and End. Oh wait, that's the one.
The recent trilogy is supposed to be a canon conclusion to the original first
Halloween
one.
Kills and Ends is the Halloween 1, 2018. Okay, so it steals. So there's a timeline break.
Yeah.
From Halloween 1 into other timelines.
Yeah.
I understand now.
Yeah.
Okay. But the original Halloween is the only film considered canon across all timelines. Yeah. I was talking about the Rob Zombie timeline. The one, like the remakes.
Yeah, it's kind of a mess of a canon universe. And I could get that, especially because they only reference 28 days later at the end of it instead of like 28 weeks. Like we're supposed to just ignore that 28 weeks happened.
R.I.P. Doyle, once again.
Yeah.
They're like, fuck the Americans.
Yeah,
Idris Elba is also in that movie.
I love Idris Elba. Idris Elba, you come back to haunt me. No, that's where I was a little confused because I literally, like, the big core understanding of where the world has gone in 28 weeks later is they have it under control, kind of, now at least. There's quarantine zones. Essentially
like a gate up.
Yeah, there's quarantine zones within the mainland. And I can believe that maybe they quarantined Europe or England off and they were just like, y'all on your own.
You can kind of...
Yeah, they're like, you're on your own, sorry, I don't know what to tell you. I can believe that, but I don't understand, like, if they were starving, how did we get big old Bubba ones?
Yeah, the starving ones were fucking. Did they maybe start?
Yeah, how did that bitch get pregnant?
Well, I assume the one with the big dick.
like how did an infected woman get pregnant?
I think the implication is that they're like, I mean, you probably understood it too.
Yeah.
It's just like they've become like animals. They've reverted to like a primal sort of sense. Yeah. Right? But I don't understand, like you said, unless they started eating animals, because at first they're just eating people. And they're not even really eating them; they're just infecting them. And I think okay, so here's why I'm giving it a 6, because in the context of the actual 28 days later zombies, what made them scary is that they just kind of fucking attack you.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the World War Z zombies, where they're just sort of like running. Like there's really no
and they call it like a rage virus. It's not like
it's not like they're consuming them the whole time.
Yeah,
they like eat them, they become zombies, and then they go after like more. It just seems like
it's kind of like the Crazies type beat.
Yeah, it's not necessarily zombies like Night of the Living Dead, where they like brains or whatever. Yeah. They're not trying to eat nobody. They're just infecting other things.
Yeah. So, and like we saw them eat animals, obviously, in this one.
We gave the virus like
worms and the fish.
I think the virus is like the sentient thing in like the 28 days later. Like it just wants to spread.
Yeah.
Versus like now they kind of are thinking.
Yeah, because they have the alpha.
they're organized and shit.
They started developing society.
Well, they did. They obviously. That's like what is the implication.
No, 100%. I just
that they're like wolves.
I don't understand how if she was pregnant, and I think this is also where I'm getting confused too, because it seems
I don't like these kinds of zombies.
And this is kind of also my issue when we get into a zombie movie that focuses heavily on the zombies.
Aren't zombies supposed to represent like gluttony and like consumerism? Yeah.
But this is also like my issue when we get into the lore with what a zombie is and like in the universe, because it makes sense in like The Last of Us, for example, because they like literally talk about what the virus is and they break it down and all that kind of stuff.
Resident Evil, those are zombies.
Yeah. And they like talk about what it does to the brain, like how it functions in the body and stuff like it's very scientific, and there's reason for the scientific. It doesn't feel like jarring that someone's just info dumping that on you.
Yeah.
This is like, obviously none of these people are anybody who knows any official business or anything like that, which is a fine perspective to have. You don't always need to have like a militant perspective when it comes to zombie movies, but it just feels confusing that now all of a sudden we're focusing more on the zombies, and how they're existing doesn't make sense to how the world was previously built. Because like a lot of these seem like they would have had to be new zombies.
Yeah.
Because they're not like really deteriorated, like the pregnant lady and stuff. So how are this many
the fat people eating the worms? That's what I'm saying. So they must have in this time developed to eat animals instead of starving out like they did the first round.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if that's like if we're supposed to like assume, and I think that's what it said is that like the zombies evolved, but how come they didn't evolve last time?
Yeah.
Are you saying this is like,
so are these like but this is what I mean.
It's
like
maybe
I have to invent lore for you.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't want it on 28 months later.
We just jumped a year.
We skipped a step. Okay, we went from days to weeks to years. No, I need the months. I'm missing the third movie.
And then we're also supposed to just. I mean, I don't really know if they did anything with the kids from weeks, but like, I would assume they'd be like, "Hey, we're carriers."
Yeah. And like maybe I can suspend my disbelief a little bit, and maybe that's a different. Maybe that's a different part because they said they're in the Scottish Highlands in the beginning.
Oh, that's true.
Maybe this is just a rural community, but again, it feels like I'm trying to create plot defenses.
I don't want to create the lore for you. I want you
if
to tell me the story with all of the.
I mean, they put text in the beginning. They could have just said, "Hey, in the remote area of the Scottish Highlands, this is the perception," and that maybe London is actually not as bad, or wherever they were in weeks. I'm pretty sure it was London. Yeah. Or even smaller cities and stuff were okay and like sort of functioning. They're just not allowed to leave the country, and maybe that's it. But there was no lore explanation for that.
I think they would have firebombed all that land.
They would just nuked it.
I think they would have just realistically.
They should have just nuked it. Honestly,
they were just like, we'll just quarantine.
If they were going to leave all the people for dead anyways, just fucking nuke.
That's
that
what I'm
shit.
saying. Like they maybe not go to nukes, but we could firebomb the fuck out of those lands. You know what I mean?
Yeah, salt and fire, dudes. It's all on
Just
fire.
Rain that shit
Right?
down on them.
Sodom and Gomorrah, bro. Like, we
Burn
just
it
need to
down.
go. Let's start from scratch. I mean, what did England really provide? No, but yeah, that's my thing. Is like, it just felt a little bit like I had to do a little bit more work of the storytelling because it's been so much time,
Yeah.
and it's so much time since the last one too. And maybe it is a thing where they're just hoping that you didn't see 28 weeks later.
But I did.
But I did, and it's actually a great movie. So, but
It's a shame we didn't expand on that universe.
yeah, no, I'm telling you, I'm missing 28 months.
Because if America was already involved in that movie,
Yeah.
you would think the other, I'm assuming, United Nations would be like, all right, this is obviously an issue.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing they're just like, yeah, we just kind of roam around the sides.
And I
On a
don't
boat.
remember if 28 Days Later they gave a how this really began, because he wasn't someone of knowledge either.
Scientific.
Yeah. He was literally like woke up in a hospital.
Mm.
As all great zombies things
No.
do. You always are waking up in a hospital. Oh, I thought
Quit
I turned that
acting
off
like
on accident.
you know the rules.
There are no rules.
There are no rules.
God forbid I don't finish a line you start. But yeah, so I don't remember. It's been a long time since I've seen the first one, but yeah. There was a little extra work on our end for the lore. That being said,
Zombie movies are already kind of low tier.
of
horror.
horror, in my opinion. I know some people,
It's like medium low tier. I think my least favorite kind of horror is
my least favorite. I didn't think about that.
yeah, me too.
Honestly,
I think comedic horror is probably pretty low, but I like the entertainment value.
it depends on what it is.
Like Terrifier, I don't really like.
Yeah, well, that's just gore porn.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't really like. It does nothing for me.
It's not funny. Sorry.
That's what I'm saying. It's like,
Like-
trying to be just gross.
Yeah,
And I don't really want to be gross.
can
I like
understand as
movies okay, so
Yeah.
I like the kind of gore that's in like Hostel, because it's a fucked up situation. It would be scary to be put in that situation,
or like
and
I
it
Spit
is-
on Your Grave. Those
and
type.
it's like torture-y. And like the kind of torture that like isn't necessarily outside of like no one's gonna saw someone like that stupid scene in Terrifier where he like hangs her upside down and slices her in half, and it's like it's supposed to just be like, look at this rubber doll getting sawed in half.
Yeah, look
And-
at all the gore we can do.
yeah, but like
yeah.
Hostel's like when he like chops off his like fingers and stuff. That's just like
No, it's just
regular human torture that I feel like
Yeah.
does happen in the shady places.
Yeah, well, it's like specifically, I would say I Spit on Your Grave 2 in that sense, because the first one is a little different, but the second one, when she's like in the fucking tunnels of Serbia, like it's not funny. It's not funny. It's like probably the most traumatic shit I've ever seen. But like
We're
a
gonna
whole
laugh
girl's
it
living
out.
like a rat in the tunnels of Serbia, killing these people, and like totally valid, miss.
Yeah.
But it's like a real situation women can find themselves in, so it's like valid.
I
horror.
hope the fuck
No,
not.
not living in the tunnels, but I mean getting trafficked.
But
you
there
know?
are people who live in the tunnels, so
Yeah, well,
It
there
is.
also are people who live in the tunnels, 100%. But I'm just saying,
no, I understand what you're
it's
saying.
like,
It's more realistic than a fucking dude in a clown
Yeah.
suit doing it.
and then you get the
Oh
like,
well,
the violent brain itch of her slaughtering all of them for trafficking her.
I say a dude in a clown suit, but I guess
Is that a clown suit?
no.
It's just ugly, kind of in black and white.
And I also like the slashers for their gore because it's like
Yeah,
that in itself is like a whole genre.
yeah. And
I don't
then
think slashers are my favorite, but I do like slashers.
it kind of depends what you cover as horror, because I would say if we're including it, I would say natural disaster horror is like kind of real bottom of the barrel for me.
Ooh, you're right.
If
You know
we're-
what?
If we're calling
If we're
that
gonna
horror
say-
and we're not calling it action,
Alien invasions. There, I said
yeah.
it. Alien invasions are not scary to me. If the aliens come, we're fucked anyways. It's not scary. We saw
Yeah.
it coming.
I think it can be done well, but I think if we're talking about a full genre, it's probably honestly for me natural disasters.
Like
and
War of
then
Worlds, I would say
zombies.
is a horror movie because of if you've ever seen it, it feels like those
Yeah.
fucking dudes are hunting them down with the
Yeah.
little the snake robot thing.
Yeah.
I would say that that's horror, but it is funny that they just die later. They didn't really think that one through.
But yeah, so I think like natural for me, if we're counting natural disasters, or like those fucking crocodile shark movies.
Oh yeah,
like,
you know what?
like,
I take it back.
We're calling that
that like Idris Elba movie, Lion. Not that scary. Why were you out there?
Yeah. Yeah, why are you fighting a lion with your bare hands, Idris?
I don't think shark movies are scary.
Shark movies aren't scary. Also because I'm never in that situation.
Exactly. I would never be terrified of a beautiful creature.
And like, but Descent doesn't count if we're talking.
That's not a creature, Hannah. Those are Viking people that have adopted
feral people.
They're scary as fuck.
That's scary. But I just mean of a movie that I won't actually find myself in that situation. I'm not finding myself in the Descent situation because the cave people.
But that shit was scary.
I'm not going caving ever.
No.
But yeah, I would say that's like bottom of the barrel. Zombies are only a step above that because they sort of are a natural disaster horror film in itself.
I would have killed myself in my cap. Wouldn't have been in that situation.
No, I'm telling you, if the apocalypse is coming, I'm taking myself out. You ain't got to worry about me.
Yeah. I'm not surviving. I can't run that fast.
Yeah, I'm just not living my life without conveniences. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I'm hoping it just attacks England and call it a day.
Air conditioning.
I'm not wiping my ass with a corn cob.
Yeah, sorry. We're not sticking a brush in a bucket like we had to in the Renaissance days, okay? I'm not doing that.
No.
I'll kill myself before then. Easy. But yeah, so outside of all that, I said like 6.2 because I felt a little bit bad because I love the franchise so much for putting it low. It's not the worst. I mean, it was well shot. The acting was pretty good. Aaron Taylor Johnson can get it any day of the week.
They just put him in there to eat pussy.
Yeah, like let's just call it what it is.
Let's just say what he is.
And then they had that slut put his knee up and slap his thigh for his son to hop up there, and I'm like, you just horned this man out.
He was not in that movie.
He was not in that movie long enough for the few scenes for him to be in there is him eating pussy and then slapping his thigh like that. Excuse me?
I couldn't understand a word they were saying.
No,
I needed some fucking subtitles.
I needed subtitles.
No offense.
Something fierce.
I just couldn't understand anyone. The only person I could actually understand was fucking Ray Fiennes.
Yeah, Ray Fiennes. I think, well, that's how I've been told to pronounce his name multiple times. And
I'm sticking to Ralph.
I thought it was Ralph. Well, I said Ralph Fiennes at first because I was like, I don't know his fucking name. But, no,
I think it's Ralph Fiennes.
I've been corrected many a time.
By who?
I don't remember, but I've been corrected.
Fuck those guys. It's Ralph Fiennes.
That they said it was Ray. I'm actually gonna look it up. How to say his name because I said Ralph and people made fun of me.
Well, they're wrong.
It's still recording. How to say Ralph Fiennes' name? Okay, so we've come back and we have learned that it is Rafe Fiennes. Separate words, F at the end of Ray.
Yeah, okay.
Why is that, I wonder? Why is it spelled Ralph? Is it like when they spell Skylar Schuler?
Yeah, probably.
That shit pisses me off. That's like that McKinley bullshit. It says E-I-G-H like 8 times in the name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Ray Fiennes, we love you, Diva. No shade on you, bestie.
No, my bad.
But
I was ill-educated.
Yeah, Rafe Fiennes. Okay.
He was the only person I could really understand. And honestly, I loved seeing him.
I
was so worried. I was like, please don't rip his spine out.
I know. I was
Spoilers.
Worried. I was just looking at his bare ass half the time with these like alpha zombies. I was worried he was going to be one of the alpha guys, and I just had been staring at his dick and balls the whole movie.
Oh no.
I was concerned. Also, why are they all ass naked?
I have to imagine that after 28 years later, the clothes that were on them have just either disintegrated, fallen off from the flailing the movement.
Yeah.
I don't like my zombies naked.
But, okay, and then this is also my thing.
I like my zombies to cover up.
To be covered. Head to toe. Modesty.
Modesty.
In this
I don't want to see your 8-inch dick slanging.
Oh, dude, that shit was crazy. That was not 8 inches. That was like 20. Jesus Christ, that shit. That shit had.
I'm
its
glad
own
they don't have eye
fucking area
trackers,
code.
because
No, that was so fucking extra, bro.
I was
It
like,
was literally down to his knees. Don't play with me
I
like
can't
that.
imagine
That
it's
can't
comfortable.
be comfortable for anybody.
I can't imagine it's comfortable.
Okay, so but what I was gonna say is if we're to assume that they're breeding
Yeah.
now, because like obviously
But
that
do they
lady
turn the baby
but
zombies?
yeah, do they turn them? Because this is where I'm getting lost in the lore a bit too, and I'm having to do the mental work of it. Because if they're breeding them, because obviously that one lady zombie was pregnant in it, and full on, by the way, watch that lady give birth. That was traumatic enough, and I'm so sorry that every time you watch a horror movie with me, there's some weird birthing scene.
Because that's the scariest thing that can happen.
The true horror. But so
Giving birth is body horror. I don't care what anyone
100%.
says.
And I'm glad more people like make movies about it, and like even indirectly, like men and stuff.
Scary. I saw that birthing video in what,
Yeah,
7th
dude.
grade, 8th grade.
Yeah.
I looked at the crush that I had in that class and said, "Never mind.
Alright, I'm good.
Never mind. I'm good."
Yeah. If we're supposed to assume that they're breeding, are they biting the babies? And then, if that being said, do the babies grow up? Because that one was a little girl still, and she was like a bloater type one. I'm calling them bloaters because I don't know what else to call them.
The chunkies.
Yeah.
I like
The
them.
bubbas.
I kind of liked them. They were fun.
No, they were fun, 100%. But
I was thinking to myself, that would be me.
So,
because they just kind of roll around and eat worms, and you know what? They live a peaceful existence.
Yeah, they weren't bothering anybody. They can't even run fast enough to bother anyone.
No, and they hang out in groups.
Yeah, just rolling around.
What's different from me and them?
So you know, about as fast as them. No, okay. So there was one of them was like a little girl or a child to some degree, right?
Yeah.
So
the weird little.
If we're supposed to believe that maybe this is a new like mutation of it,
does it
they
take 28
breed and the others
years?
don't, or do the babies grow
No, I don't.
up?
I'm thinking we're
confused.
supposed to assume that they are just multiplying. But he also has said that there were less zombies than there were before. When he was talking, so when he's talking to him about like, oh, before you were born, we used to forage a lot.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have hiccups.
No, you're good.
We used to forage a lot, and there used to be more zombies or something like that. Once again, difficult to understand the accent.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna need to rewatch that with some subtitles
because I want to hear what they're saying, because I feel like I missed some.
I love a Scottish accent, and it makes me laugh every time because I think of Frankie from Joe Santagato, and Frankie doing his fucking crazy ass Scottish accent where he just yells. But I don't understand a lick of what y'all saying.
But he says in that conversation, like he talks about what it was like before he was born, so I have to assume at least 12 years.
Yeah.
Which is about halfway, just a little under. There were more zombies, and he was like, now there aren't so many.
Yeah.
Do I have to assume that maybe it was like some of them died out and some of them mutated?
Yeah.
So maybe that's what it is.
And again, I just feel like we're missing 28 months later.
That would have cleared it all up.
Yeah.
That's when we learned about
we're missing out
the biology of the zombies.
And it does feel like you're missing a movie of information, if I'm to be honest.
Yeah.
I
need the 28 months. I need another checkpoint.
Honestly, just give me a little prologue and of just words.
I didn't like, I will say another negative to the movie was when they first go out. Yeah. I straight up felt like I was watching a trailer. I felt like I was watching the trailer.
Well, they used the trailer sound, which I thought was odd.
I didn't like that.
What I did like, which might be controversial, is the cuts of old film that they put into it, where it was like random other movies and stuff. Mm-hmm. Because for me, it shows one, not only just like a cyclical pattern of like where people, like how people act.
I just think it was, I didn't like it kind of fucked with the mood.
Yeah.
A little bit.
No, I will say it was like a weird choice, 100%. But I didn't mind it because I kind of understood what they were trying to do with it.
No,
I thought it was a cool risk to take of like stylistically. I don't love that they use the sound, even though the sound from the trailer is genuinely horrifying, and it's because it's like a horrific poem that's being spoken word.
Yeah.
And it's a scary poem. Honestly, that audio alone, I saw so many like.
Dude, they made The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. That guy was weird.
Wait, what?
It was the same guy who wrote The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Oh, it was C.S. Lewis?
Yeah.
Damn.
He's a weirdo.
He is a little weirdo. I do love him. Yeah, no, I didn't realize that was him, but no, it is a very scary poem, 100%, and that reading of it is very, like, it stresses you out, and it's supposed to. And it's supposed to reflect the feeling of, like, a soldier kind of going to war. I don't feel like it had the same, like, hit as it did in the trailer.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't like that. I felt like I was watching the trailer for it, and then
it felt out of place to where it was at in the movie. Like, why is it just when they're, like, walking to... And I guess you could say, like, oh, like, the boots going up and down again, like, they're repeating a pattern by going out into the, you know, the mainland. But it just was like, okay, this is supposed to... We're still in kind of, like, a feel-good area of the movie.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't know if that was, like...
When it was stressful during when they were running back to the camp. If they
played that, dude, I would have been fucking shitting my pants.
I liked the choice that they did where it was like, oh my god, are these fucking people gonna make it?
Yeah.
And it had that, like, kind of triumphant music, and you're like, they're gonna fucking pull the rug out from underneath us when this triumphant music cuts.
God. When they were running across that
causeway, so I liked that choice.
When the Alpha chasing them, and I could not tell, in the way they shot it, I could not tell if he was dragging his son's body, or if, like, he thought, I totally thought that when they panned out and they got him through, it was going to be him, like, they're going to cut it back, and it's going to be him dragging his fucking son's body. Thinking he had been there the whole time. I
will say, that would have been a great way to add Aaron Taylor Johnson back into the movie, because then he could just go out and fucking murder a bunch of alpha zombies.
I'm saying, dude. No, and I honestly thought that would have made for a better movie. That's
what I thought the movie was going to be about. I was like, oh fuck, they're going to kill the son, and he's going to go out and just absolutely go to town.
Also,
let's
talk about the fucking Targaryens at the end of that movie.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
The Targaryens in the jumpsuits at the end of the movie.
that first zombie that they found hanging upside down had the word Jimmy on it, and then that building had Jimmy, and he's obviously the kid from the beginning.
It felt like almost dropped this, so sorry if it like
no, it's a small, but it's obviously it's the kid from the beginning.
Yes, but they were like Easter egging it. Like, we knew who the fuck he was.
I'm gonna be honest, I saw the cross and knew exactly who he was. Because I was like, I knew Jimmy was coming. I thought Jimmy was gonna be Cillian Murphy.
No, I thought so too. I 100% thought, well, I wasn't sure, but I thought it was, or I thought that was like,
is yours blinking? Is that good or bad?
I don't know, is yours blinking?
Mine's not blinking.
Oh, am I pressing a button?
Stop pressing it.
I don't think I'm pressing a button. It is blinking though.
Maybe yours is just dying.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully you can hear me.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe you can. You'll just have to, like. How do you charge these little bastards?
I don't know. It's okay. Yours probably.
On the side right there.
I'm loud enough that it probably
we can
just
lip to lip it.
No, I legitimately was like.
I liked it because I think it's like something that is.
It felt like they were trying to reference something from an old, like, I'm telling you, it feels like we're missing 28 months later.
I think they're referencing something in Scotland. Like, is this a subculture in Scotland? We have, like, cholos.
Bitches with...
Like, we have cholos, right? And then we have, like...
the weird... I don't remember what they're called, but I know that
they had fucking...
Exist.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
they're like the fucking...
It's like the Robert Pattinson
the Slavic fucking dude crouching.
Yeah, there's a Robert Pattinson in that one picture with him in the jumpsuit.
I think it's like a subculture, and I think maybe it's like poking fun at it.
No, 100%. But I'm saying the Jimmy thing, the Jimmy thing.
I did like
starting
it.
with the I like it, but
I didn't like it. Didn't belong there, but I liked it.
Starting with the movie with with Jimmy.
This is
with
how I'm gonna hold this.
Jimothy. And then referencing Jimmy throughout the movie and then showing Homeboy at the end. It's like they were trying to like Nick Fury him, but none of us know who the fuck
I liked it. I won't lie to you. When they revealed to Jimmy, that was my favorite part. I was like,
hell yeah, Jimmy, dude.
Because I was waiting for Jimmy the whole time. I was like, who is this character?
No,
when they go into the gas station and there's like a fog, I was like, is this the cloud that they're referring? I was like, is this I was like, maybe he's like a baller out there, and he is.
He is. We both saw that, man. Life stay hard for.
I like that. I like that. I don't know what it was, but I liked it.
No, I like it. I'm just saying.
I think it took away from the whole movie, but I liked it.
Did it ruin the whole movie? Kind of.
Is it my favorite part?
You know what?
Yes.
Subvert my expectations.
I liked it the most. I think it was funny to be like, we saw all this horrific stuff. Now here's these fucking random Scottish dudes that are just rolling around.
The most unserious bullshit we could possibly think of at the end. No, and like,
it's
again,
like this kid's coming of age fucking story, and then these guys show up.
Who the fuck is Jimmy? And why did it feel like the movie only started at the end?
Yeah, I was like, okay,
I
thought more was gonna happen.
No, I 100%. No, I don't feel like that was a complete movie, if I'm to be honest.
No, it was like several different movies.
Yeah. Like, that just wasn't like a movie. That wasn't like a full movie. It was just weird.
There were so many like storylines in it. You have the cheating father. You have the crazy dying mother of cancer. Classic.
Which crazy, he kissed her skull right after he burned the flesh off her skull.
You have Ralph Fiennes' character.
You're gonna put your fucking.
You have the little boy. Then you have, the alpha situation. Yeah. The little Swedish dude.
There's just way too much going on.
And then you have Jimmy.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just a lot going on.
And like, there's stuff I can defend where I'm like,
no, defend it.
No, this was a stupid thought I had in the movie because I was like, it felt like the clip. Listen, you know how much I love Halsey. It felt like the sound of her stripped version of Colors, where she goes, "Art is not what I create. What I create is chaos." And I'm like, this just feels like this fucking movie, dude. Where it's like, maybe it's trying to it be like, oh well, everything's just chaotic and like memento mori, you know, like you got to remember.
No, I don't think that's what's happening.
No, and but I'm just saying, I could understand that maybe if they were saying like, life is, you think you have control over little things, but you can just go at any point, and I can get that, but like that also just feels like an excuse.
Also, this could have been a completely different movie franchise. It could have just been its own unique movie, like zombie universe. I think we're doing the thing that we always do, where we feel like we need to piggyback off of a well-known franchise, when the ideas themselves could just, with a little tweaking, just stand alone. Because this was so far removed from the other two movies, in my opinion, storyline wise, that you could just make it a completely different storyline, and I would not have I'd be none the wiser. I'd just be like, oh shit, another zombie movie, another zombie universe.
And what confuses me is because the first two have such a strong theme of the cruelty of man,
and they're close enough together that they make sense to be put in the same universe.
But like, just even thematically,
it's no Jurassic Park remake. I will say, what is Jurassic World? Jurassic World was a good, like, we're in the universe, because it was like, the park failed, but we made another park. That's realistic.
Yes, that is. I didn't see Jurassic World because I hate Chris Pratt. So.
Oh, this was before he was like going through, like, everyone started canceling him. So it was like.
No, it was he already had cheated on Anna Faris.
No, I'm saying this was before they like decided to fully cancel him.
Yeah, no,
yeah, they were still like, you know what? He's a hot guy.
I had found out about everything before Jurassic World, and I said Chris Pratt can actually.
I didn't want to see it for him. I just wanted to see dinosaurs. No. Welcome to Jurassic.
So fair. I didn't have an emotional attachment to Jurassic Park, so for me,
great movie, by the way.
It just was fucking Chris.
Fantastic movie. Not Jurassic World, Jurassic Park.
I've seen Jurassic Park.
No, I'm not saying you have. I'm just saying Jurassic Park, solid movie.
May not have seen Bad Boys, but I've seen Jurassic Park.
Yeah, you don't see Jurassic Park, but and Bad Boys. I might have to leave. I'm taking the tiny mic and leaving. I can walk home.
um, no, 100%. It just didn't. Yeah, it didn't need to be in part of this universe. I mean, again, I thought it was an okay movie.
It
I'd
was
watch
okay.
it again.
6.0.
I'm like I said, I'm gonna need to watch it again with subtitles.
Absolutely.
And again, Rafe Fine, terrific. Loved his autistic little project.
I thought it was
His
fantastic.
little bone palace.
I'd be like, can I just live here? Can I kick it?
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, I get it. I'm just saying, I think it's a little crazy.
Put me in the iodine.
What? Rub me with iodine, buddy.
Yeah, rub me down.
Which also, that kind of made me giggle, because I'm like, if they're deterred by iodine, why hasn't anyone else figured that out yet?
Because only a dude with autism can figure it out.
Only that bald man with a bone palace can find out.
Only this guy. Maybe, I mean, I have to assume they're just like, we've just gotten the situation out of control. We just don't know how to get it. It's on such a big scale that we can't figure it out. But, like, they probably do know on the outside world that, like, iodine wards them off
I mean,
or
just
whatever.
like no one else in England has figured that out.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah,
well,
that's a little crazy to me.
I think they've got bigger fish to fry.
No, 100%. I'm just saying. Like, I just find it a little funny that he's the only person in 28 years to figure that out. But yeah, no, it was just, I loved him, and for me, I'm like, I get him. I see him. I understand what he's doing here. But at the same time, it just kind of killed me a little bit that that the mom and her son just took his fucking word for it that she had cancer. I'm like, I mean, I get that she has breast cancer, but you let this strange man with a bone palace feel you up and tell
the people that were sitting next to you that literally could not understand what was happening in the movie, they had zero awareness, but they were like, is he gonna kill her? What is he checking for? Motherfucker, have you never walked outside? Dude. Have you never watched another movie? Have you never seen TV?
And that kid got up about 8 times to go to the bathroom.
I bet you he was shitting out of his mind.
He's never seen a movie before.
Never seen a movie before, doesn't know how to hold it in.
Oh my god, I'm so glad though that the dad was like a dick, because there were the other people a little further down who were talking super fucking loud in the movie, and he goes, I'm trying to watch a movie here.
Oh shit, somebody said something to him?
It was the dad right next to me said something to him, because it was a dad and a son next to me, and then there was like separate people after them, and they were the loud ones, and the dad and the son were sitting there, and the second the movie started, the dude kept fucking yapping.
Yeah, I know. I thought they were together.
No, the dad leaned over and just said, I'm trying to watch a movie here.
Thank God. I was literally
like,
thinking,
amen, brother,
I was like, man, we don't shush people in movies enough anymore.
No.
Back in the day, they would just turn around and be like, shh.
Yeah.
And now they don't do that no more.
No.
We should. Because every time I've gone to the movie, someone has yapped like that.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
I remember when I whispered, my favorite story about my mom is I whispered something to her in a movie once, and this motherfucker turned around like I had just stood up and screamed, and my mom looked at him dead in the eyes and said, her talking can't possibly be any louder than your chewing, so turn it around, bud. I don't even remember what movie it was, but it's so fucking
Doesn't matter.
Hysterical. No, but yeah, so I liked it. I'll definitely watch it again. I was getting at the Ray Fiennes thing with like him and his bone palace. I liked it. I got the purpose. I just thought it was a little crazy that they were just like, yeah, she has cancer after Homeboy. Like,
well, I guess, I mean, I have to assume he was just like, oh, he's a doctor.
And he just immediately trusted the bone guy.
Well, he was like ready to just go out into the wilderness day 2.
Yeah, this kid wasn't firing on all cylinders.
I don't think we were giving much thought to a lot of things. I think we were just kind of going with our first
thought.
He said, I have enough experience, I could just go out. With
my genuine surprise that this wasn't showing, the movie wasn't about Aaron Taylor Johnson going after his kid.
He didn't give a fuck about that kid. He
said, okay.
He just let them go?
He just fucking let them go. And
he came back. He had to have come back to the house. Or he was just that bad of a dad that because he was at the fucking house.
Yeah, and then like
so where they were just like
out, they saw that like they had to have noticed at some point, obviously, that they were gone.
That's what I'm saying.
He just was
like, damn.
Damn, you win some, you lose some.
He was like, well, that solved that problem, and I get the house.
Yeah, I get pussy and the house sick. Fuck my kid.
Fuck you, Aaron Taylor Johnson. You're a bad dad.
You're a bad dad and a bad husband.
In the movie,
I wish you would be a bad husband in real life. Dump the grandma. But no, I don't understand.
That's what I'm saying. They just paid him to be on screen because they were like, that's how he's gonna put ass to seat.
He's sexy. So.
He's gonna put ass to seat.
Yeah, and shit got me there. Got me there. I just don't understand how. I don't understand how the movie wasn't about that.
That's what I'm saying. He was so like, you are my son. He was
you are my son. Like, I'm so proud of you. All this shit, and he just let him go. And I get that, like, the movie should have cut back. I was so confused because I was like, at any minute, the movie's gonna cut back to the island
of him being like, where the fuck is my son?
Yeah, they should have shown that. They should have shown him tearing apart the house, looking for them, and then asking around. And then when he realizes they're actually gone, he goes after them despite the fact that they have their one rule about not going back for people. Like, that should have been the movie, that he's like, I'm willing to sacrifice myself.
We could have still added Jimmy.
They could have even just showed us a clip of them tying him up so he won't go after his son. And I'll be like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, they just painted him like an asshole and stayed an asshole.
And then they waited all that time
then he runs out
to come back with the baby, and he runs out when the water's high.
And he's like,
don't
no!
piss me off. My son! Don't piss me off.
You don't give a fuck.
You don't care.
You'd have been boots to ground out there. No.
That was crazy. How was that movie not about that? And didn't go after him after the baby was
I'm trying to think of the movie that I'm thinking of where it's good dad, little kid, wilderness type beat, or like post-apocalyptic. Kind of, if I remember the movie correctly, it stars Viggo Mortensen. That's a good dad. He was boots to ground.
Is it Comes at Night?
No. No. I don't think it was zombies. I think it was just like regular like people being like assholes in like a kind of like a bad situation. I know what the movie is. Yeah. I'm trying to think. It's not. I'm gonna look it up. Yeah. But anyways, he should have been like that dad. Yeah. And been hitting the fucking pavement. No, that would have been
a great movie. Yeah. Him going after his kid. If they use the sound from the trailer in a cut between like them both running, that would have ate. They needed us in the writing room.
The road. America's a grim gray shadow of itself after a catastrophe. A man, Viggo Mortensen, and his young son, whatever, wander through the post-apocalyptic world trying to keep the dream of the civilization alive. The journey towards the sea, surviving as best they can on what they can scavenge, and try to avoid roving gangs of savage humans who will turn them into slaves or worse. Great movie. That's a dad.
I don't think I've seen that. I'll have to watch it.
It's a great movie.
I do like. Okay, I will say
it's the only movie my brother has cried. Well, not the only movie, but he cried during it.
What I don't count as a natural disaster type horror film is Nuclear War. I think that's its own category.
That's sci-fi, almost.
Because like apocalyptic is kind of its own thing outside of zombies.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's like natural disaster, zombies, apocalypse, not just
like a religious thing. Yeah. Because they do have those movies.
Yeah. Like
Constantine is about the apocalypse.
Yeah. Or like the one that I rewatched on accident because I didn't realize we had watched that together.
Yeah. Whatever. Azrael.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's like its own thing. But and I think there's it honestly I like those movies a little bit more than zombies.
Yeah, because it kind of
I think those focus more about the best part of the zombie movies, which is the narrative of the cruelty of man.
Mm-hmm. How if we are put in a situation, there's going to be a group.
What is the good and what is the bad?
Oh. When societal like laws and stuff like that aren't holding us from being like the worst versions of ourselves.
Yeah. Who stays with high morals and all like where do we draw lines and that kind of thing. Like I like that kind of narrative, and that's why I think for this one I'm just like, well, there honestly wasn't really a plot. I would say like not a straight through plot.
No, we were all over the place.
This is what I mean by like I wish it was a movie where Aaron Taylor Johnson went after his son.
Yeah, And he didn't, and obviously bad dad, but also
Yeah, boo, tomato, tomato.
I was like, those people are fucking dead. I was honestly surprised that they made it that far and that was the storyline, because I was really waiting
It
for
would have
him.
kind of ate if that kid came back and everyone was dead.
I thought for sure, like, when he went out, he was gonna get out there, learn the horror of like, holy fuck, lose his mom, and then buck up and be like, I gotta get home.
Yeah.
Because it would have been kind of sick if the little dude was just by himself, surviving in the fucking wilderness.
Well, also when she fucking
like,
took out that zombie, dude, I was like,
That's
I
what I'm
thought
saying.
Mama was about to be a badass. I thought she was about to be a sleeper agent. and like go full fucking mama. Like, that just was a weird, like, now that I'm thinking about like the actual plot, like the writing of it, it wasn't very
bad.
good.
It was kind of a bad movie.
Like, I liked it because it scratched the like violence itch in your brain, and like it was
like a good,
fun zombie stuff.
It was a lot going on, and it kept me on my toes, I'll say.
Yeah, I was entertained at the end of the day. Like we always reference the Nick Cage movie.
As long as I'm entertained at the end of the day,
it
did a job,
and that's why it goes over 5, because I was entertained. But like, I don't like
the story.
Yeah, I don't feel like there was really a story.
Well, it looked like it was going in one direction, went in a completely shout out One Direction.
Yeah,
it went in a completely different direction, and then we were just kind of like loosely floating around.
Yeah,
until we hit Jimmy.
Yeah,
which was a completely different storyline.
Girl, I saw that fucking blonde wig, and I said, "Who?" And then I saw the cross, and I was like, "No." No,
I knew he was going to be Jimmy. I was thinking about it the whole time, because the couple next to me, they were like, "Look, another Jimmy sign." Like, that's what they were saying, and I was like, "Yeah, I know." I was like invested in it too. Yeah. I was
I was too. Well, because that's the thing, is there were so many. I thought, because the way normal people tell stories, I should say, is that they show you things like that, not just like red herrings.
I wish he was introduced earlier.
Why wasn't the movie just about Jimmy?
No, you know how sick it would have been if, here's the movie. Let me write the movie for you. We have the whole first section.
It's like they gave us
come back. Yeah. The kid goes out with his mom. He loses his mom. He's got to get back. Dad goes out there, and encounters Jimmy. Fucking teams up with Jimmy, gets the son back. Jimmy's like, cred. And he hands him off the cross and is like, stay wild, little kid.
This is my thing. Is like, this is what I also mean by it feels like we missed a movie.
Come full circle.
Yeah. This is also what I mean by, like, it feels like we missed a movie. It feels like
that would have been 28 months later.
It feels like a sequel to a movie we didn't see.
Yeah, I want to see the movie about Jimmy. That's the 28 months later.
Yeah, why didn't we do that one, though? Because they clearly just wanted to talk about Jimmy. They were like, fuck, we have Aaron Taylor Johnson, but Aaron Taylor Johnson can't be Jimmy.
Yeah, he's no Jimmy.
He's too hot to be Jimmy. Jimmy got to be, like, kind of whimsical. Kind of peculiar, you know?
I resonated with that guy.
No, and I like Jimmy. I just confused on what the fuck that has to do with anything. Like, they forgot what movie they were writing.
And the tag, I don't know, like the synopsis of the movie, the like whatever copy of the movie is like it's like a dive into how the virus has evolved and how society has evolved. But if that's what we're going to talk about, then we need more fucking Jimmy. Like, not necessarily
we need
Jimmy,
more society.
But more society, exactly. When they're like, we stay out of the villages, I thought they were going to hit those villages and be like, this
and it's a contrast of, like, dude, no, there's so many possibilities of where it could go and end up in a good movie, but it's like they started all of them and then just were like, nah.
Fuck it, we'll smash them together.
Yeah, somewhere in here, and
like 3 different groups of people wrote a movie, and we were like, "Fuck it, we'll make it one big movie."
You get the beginning, I get the middle, you get the end,
and we'll see how whatever we brought in.
And then one dude wrote about Jimmy, and they just splotched it into it. That's legitimately how that movie feels.
I was Cillian Murphy's character.
Cillian Murphy just wanted to write about Jimmy. I loved also with the pregnancy thing that, no matter what, virus or not, girls will be girls. I was like, the way she was like woman to woman, they locked in.
I was like, okay,
I love that surpassed.
If I'm Eric, I'm shooting everybody here. Everybody is dead.
Well, I just would have. I mean, I get maybe not shooting the baby right away.
No, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think
No, I would have probably shot the baby before
I would have
she
just
got
started.
to fucking bundle it up, if I'm being honest.
I would
And
have shot the
nothing
lady
against the baby.
before the pregnancy
Yeah,
thing started
no,
happening.
pop, pop. Yeah, done.
Boom, boom. Call it a day.
Yeah.
And then I'm running out of it because Big
I thought it
Papa's
was
coming.
interesting that it seems like the military doesn't know about shooting through the head and the heart thing, though.
Well, I think it's just because they've got. Well,
I know they were panicking, but they just kind of seem to be spraying them as opposed to.
And I think where it is like I assume have. I mean, you're using a gun versus an arrow, and if you have an arrow, it's like you're gonna.
You have to get it.
You have to get it.
You have to
versus like a gun where it's like there's kind of a little bit of leeway. I assume.
Yeah, and maybe like a hint to that they aren't taking it that seriously because they don't have to live like that typically.
Yeah. I mean, he's talking about the internet, so you got.
I thought it was funny though that they talked about that bitch's flip filler.
Yeah,
where he's like, "Why the fuck does she look like that?" Yeah. I thought that was kind of a fun little thing, like, or the movie could have been about him and Eric.
I love
becoming brothers, found family. You know, the mom goes crazy, gets lost in a horde. Like it just is coming back to like we could make this movie so much better if they finished a thought. If they made it a whole sentence.
Yeah, they kind of were just like, and what if this?
And then, yeah, they didn't like complete a thought.
And then we have like a really good drug sequence where he's high off with morphine and his mom is dying.
That's like looks like fireflies and shit.
I was like, this is like a good like emotional.
Yeah,
moment,
I'm gonna be honest.
Too many of those in this movie.
Yeah, for characters I'm not attached to because you've not given us any story. And like,
I'm not rooting for him because really he took his mom out into the fucking wilderness. They gave you the rules. They were like, you gotta go.
This sounds like I'm being so much harsher about it than how I feel about it because I genuinely feel like it was like an okay movie. Like I was entertained. I
gave it a 6. I mean it.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Like I know it sounds like I'm just dogpiling the movie, but like
hear about the movies we do like.
We can defend anything, but no, I just think like there were way too many plots and like the writing was weak, but it was like an okay zombie. Most zombie movies don't really have a lot of plot anyways.
I don't want plot.
Yeah. I just want shooting.
Last time I had plot, I cried, and I don't want to cry. I leave my crying for different movies. That Bring Her Back movie, I cried.
No, that was tough. That was a tough one.
I cried on that one. I was like, I didn't need this.
But yeah, I'm trying to think.
I didn't want to see an emotional moment like that.
Yeah.
I wanted to see zombies, Aaron Taylor Johnson putting arrows through these zombies, and him like being a dad.
I would have hoped
he could cheat on the wife, like if that's his storyline and that's like the moral dilemma for the boy to like have to realize of like.
No, and like I think it was important for him to realize his dad actually isn't a hero. Like how he stretches the truth, obviously, with like the shots that his kid took and stuff like that. And then like the flaw, like to see that coming of age moment is one thing, but again, the movie has to be about a coming of age then, and it kind of was, but not like I don't really feel like he learned anything.
Well, he was like, "I'm not coming back.
Yeah, I'm gonna go on my own for
a while.
I need to keep walking. I'm gonna hit the road. I'm gonna hit that pavement."
The crowd. I'm out there.
Fucking chasing pavements out here, dog.
After such a wild experience, I would be so discouraged. I'd come back and he literally said, not going out "Here's a baby. Take care of it."
Yeah, I'm like, what are you, fucking 25? Like, you're a child. I would be crying. My mom's dead.
I have to put her skull on top of
kiss her fucking skull and climb a mountain of skulls to put it on top and make sure it faced the sunrise.
Yeah, I was high on morphine last night. Now I gotta walk home.
I'm staying high with Raven.
I'm living here. They can have it. We leave the baby at the edge of the forest. Let the big guy get him. Boom.
Yeah, us three are chilling. Me, the baby, and Raven.
No, I'm putting the baby on the edge of the forest.
Yeah, tough.
Well, because that's what the big guy was. The big guy was trying to. The fucking big guy was after the baby. That's not my problem anymore.
I know Samson is a biblical figure, and he was like a really big dude.
I think that was just that guy's like.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if I forgot the story though to see if there was any like major connection to that, or like they're because obviously you're referencing the Bible for a reason.
Yeah.
And I just would hope it's
You
not
think
just
that
because he's a big ass dude. I mean,
Well,
he's not-
I think it's just a reference to like Ralph Fiennes' character being like educated in
Yeah.
like multiple things.
True.
So maybe that's like,
Yeah.
I mean, he's already like,
Just love
here's a
that.
religious fucking monument to
Memento
death.
Mori.
Yeah.
No, and we all got to do our weird shit to keep us sane. At the end of the day, he's got to build a mountain of skulls. That's his thing.
He had great bedside manner.
Dude, he was an artist. I dare say. Those little like sunbursts he made with
I would
the
have gone
skulls
to
in the
his
middle.
practice. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, he was a weird little dude. I liked him. Yeah.
He was probably like a bang up doctor.
And I don't feel like him being like a genuine doctor and like all that stuff really served the movie very well, if I'm gonna be honest. Like it wasn't like
It just served to be like your mom has cancer.
Yeah, the plot twist I don't think ate in the I think they thought that you were gonna assume he was like evil regardless.
I didn't think he was evil because in my mind, right? So they talk about,
Yeah.
oh, he was burning the bodies.
Just like named him, is like, come on down.
Well, like in my mind, right? I don't think that was completely crazy.
Yeah.
In my mind, like maybe he's a doctor who has been like, well, the only way to contain a virus is to burn bodies. Like to me, that doesn't to me that doesn't scream crazy. To me, that just seems like okay, he's a man of science who's like obsessed with.
No, but I think they maybe were hoping that they like when he got there, the dude was going to be like a cult leader or something crazy.
Yeah, no,
and stuff, and like it be this whole thing, and like him being just like a normal dude, I feel like wasn't the subverting my expectations that they thought it was going to be. It didn't jump scare me as much as Jimmy did, if I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, and I don't think I was expecting him to be crazy or like a cult leader either. Anyway,
Yeah.
I like genuinely was like, oh, he's probably just some like dude. Like in my mind, I thought he was just going to be like a contained crazy man who was just like, I'm obsessed with cleaning this island of like the virus. Like that's what I thought he was going to be. It was like this dude that's like, I'm going to do it. Fuck it, I'll do it myself.
And like I feel like I get
which I would have liked more, honestly.
I get what they saw was weird. They caught him in a bad moment. Aaron Taylor Johnson back in the day when he ran into him caught him in a bad moment. I'm not gonna lie, it was a little weird. But what I don't feel like that was enough for them to be like, we don't go there.
No, I would have been like, hey, what are you doing? It was
one crazy dude. Like, I mean, you guys act like it
wasn't like he was like fucking buck ass naked, like running around
rubbing himself with
you know what I mean?
Yeah. I was like, he clearly just is like autistic.
To me, I would have just been like, oh, it's a guy burning bodies. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I get that you think that's
because Aaron Taylor Johnson's character is uneducated.
Tough,
if he knew about basic like viral quarantine, he would know that like burning bodies is the way to. If he watched one zombie movie back in the day, it was only 28 years later, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was like at least 14 when he went out and watched a movie last, and you're telling me not one fucking zombie movie was in the theaters in Scotland?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of zombie movies though rely on there had never been any information about zombies though before.
Yeah,
because not a single person ever is like, these fucking zombies, dude.
Except for the guy who's like, they're zombies. You have to imagine that there's social media at this time, and they must be like me in England running around, and it's like a person in like a in like a mall.
Yeah.
Like during rush hour or something like that.
Yeah.
During like a busy hour.
Yeah.
Be like, this is what I imagine was England. Because we're never serious.
No, the memes would go crazy, dude.
That's what I'm saying.
Is this a zombie or is this just a British person? I can't tell by their fucked up ass teeth, dude.
Me on the rage virus.
Yeah.
So, like, there has to be movies about it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's meta. It's a little too meta, perhaps.
Yeah, it just like, but it's also kind of like how every vampire movie, it doesn't seem like vampires exist. You know?
True. The cold ones.
The cold ones. And that not a single Bud Light shows up on that on that Google search he does.
Open the door wider.
Yeah, please hit my car. Please hit my car, big dog. But
I don't know. I don't buy it.
No, I know. It's a little weird. I don't really know what to like say about it other than what we have said because it's just the story didn't really go anywhere. But like I like the cinematography. I like that they John Wickified the um like headshots and shit. Felt like I was watching The Equalizer.
I will say, it made me stressed out. Like like when they're running down that thing, I was stressed out the whole time.
Running down the causeway. I feel like that was the last time the movie was good.
No, that's because that's when the shift in the movie happens, where he's like, he goes through his whole like emotional.
I will say it was good,
and then he's like, time to go.
It was good until he took his mom out.
That's what I'm saying.
Because like Aaron Taylor Johnson smacking the shit out of him kind of was a fire move. I'm not gonna lie.
I will say, realistically, there's no fucking way he goes out there and survives all the way to the.
Not a shot.
Not a shot.
Not a shot. The way his fucking knees were shaking at the running zombies.
You're telling me one goddamn day?
Yeah.
One day?
Yeah, no.
No.
Like next morning too, after he had been drinking for the first time in his whole life.
No.
No.
This is not realistic.
It's just not happening, baby.
Maybe Scots are built different, but that's just not true.
Maybe they are. Maybe that wasn't his first time drinking. Even though he did seem pretty tossed when he was all puking and stuff.
Yeah,
no, I didn't mind like Aaron Taylor. Honestly, I understand Aaron Taylor Johnson cheating. Like it's not good. It's not a good thing to do. It's not morally right. But like it's very obvious to all the adults, I guess, that his mom is dying to a degree.
Yeah.
And like there's nothing Aaron Taylor Johnson can do about it. And for the most part, if it is a tumor that has gone to her brain, she isn't herself.
I will say
it is fucked up to cheat on her, but like
no, it's us. You should wait for her to die.
You should wait for her to die or like figure something out. But like it is fucked up to cheat on her and do it kind of obviously, but at the same time,
I will say the movie did not benefit from him being a shitty dad or being like a good dad because he just wasn't in it long enough for his character to then matter, because at the end of the day, if his dad was good or bad, he still would have probably went out to like go to the doctor. Like if that was going to be his quest.
I thought there was just going to be more story with Ralph Fiennes' character. Like
he was just like a nice guru in the forest.
Yeah, he was like a little sensei in the Bone Palace, bro.
I'd be like, hey, can I get some of that morphine? Like one more hit.
I just like I thought there was going to be more lore with that, because legitimately them seeing him with those bodies once was not enough for them to be like literally shaking in their boots. And then also like the grandpa knew about him.
And he was like, he was my general practitioner.
He was my GP back in the day.
That is so funny.
Yeah, he's just like some guy. And then him being like, I don't think I should tell you about this if your dad isn't comfortable with it. What? He just saw the dude with some bodies. Yeah, which duh. I mean, in this day and age,
there's enough to go around for
honestly,
everybody.
I thought he was going to be doing some crazy tribal man bullshit.
That's what I'm saying.
But not just that, but like have human heads of non-infected on spikes and
I thought he was going to be like a like Max type motherfucker in like a Thunder when he was like, we saw a mountain of corpses. I'm thinking like a pile of corpses, and he's just like rolling around in it. Yeah, and it was just like a dump. Right? And he was just collecting all of them.
I thought that he was like building a wall of bodies or some shit like
crazy.
That. Would have been
huge
crazy.
Aura.
Yeah, mad fucking aura, dude.
But like, he just had them like politely lined up.
So he can burn them and, you know, make a little
respect them or whatever.
Yeah, a little gravesite for them.
He was like, at the end of the day, we're all gonna die.
No, and that's fine. But this is what I mean also by like, it doesn't.
That's why I never got a bad vibe from
him. Being like chill doesn't like subvert my expectations enough, because honestly, you were telling us with him being like he's a doctor that the dude was just going to be chill.
Yeah, I wasn't like ever getting a bad vibe from him, even when they were like, we had a mountain of, and I like if there was like a body of rotting corpses, like a mountain of it, just like zzz, like flies and shit, I'd have been like, oh, that's kind of terrifying. But it was like politely lined up.
I legitimately thought he was going to have made a hut of human bodies or some shit crazy.
But instead he was just being like,
and then he was like masking his smell with corpses and wearing their skin and shit. Like,
now he's like, this is just iodine.
It's just like, hey bud, come on
down. I thought he was going to be the one that was rescuing them and like was just sort of like living out there like a little man. Maybe
Yeah.
he'd be like a little,
like a weird feral wise man.
yeah, which would have been sick.
Yeah. And he
Said-
kind of was, but like not in the way I thought he was going to be.
No,
But yeah, no, it just
he was like drinking tea.
It like weirdly wasn't as dramatic as I thought it should have been.
I wanted it to be more just like stress, like that whole stressfulness of the first half of the movie.
Yeah.
It was stressful, but in a way that I was like, well, I'm not necessarily so afraid these people are going to die anymore.
Yeah.
The other movies, I was constantly stressed about whether or not the characters were going to die or something
Yeah,
was going
and
to happen to them.
that's
At
what I
some
mean
point,
by,
I was like,
like-
okay, they've got plot armor because this is now becoming an
Yeah.
emotional situation.
That's why when like I feel like the last time the movie was good was at like his party after he found his dad. I found out his dad was a douchebag
Yeah.
and stuff because the whole like them running up to the gate thing and you couldn't tell if they were getting bit or not or what was happening. Like that was like the last time it felt like an actual fucking zombie movie.
Yeah. The rest of it was just sort of
Like walking through the
a
English
guy.
countryside. It just was fucking Lord of the Rings, them walking around and shit.
yeah. Sorry, we have popcorn.
No, so valid. But yeah, I mean I liked it. I liked it at the end of the day. I would probably watch it again. Can't wait for 28 months later.
Starring Jimmy.
Starring Jimmy, the movie that
We were
the
robbed of.
lost movie. And they obviously led you believe that there's more to come about the lore of
Or
Jimmy, the
once
wrath
again,
of Jimmy.
or once again, we're just, that's it.
That's it. Yeah, I guess it depends on if this movie flops or not, but I don't know.
I haven't seen enough of it, honestly. Maybe I'll see
Yeah.
more of it because we've
I
mentioned
saw-
it many times.
I saw Critical talk about it, and he said he said it wasn't as good as and he did spoil for me that they called him alphas in it because he was like, "Dog, what the fuck?"
I saw the memes on TikTok, but I kept skipping them because I didn't want to
I didn't want
get the
any
joke.
spoilers. Yeah, no. When I realized he was like going into spoilers, I was like, "Oh fuck!" And so I turned it off. But I watched a little bit of it, and he just said it wasn't very good.
Yeah, no. I think best horror movie we've watched this year has been Bring Her Back.
Bring Her Back was solid. There was like it was emotional. It was fucking
I
chaotic.
cried.
It was
It was scary.
the weird like snuff film aspects of it, dude. Genuinely creeped me out.
No, it was scary.
Yeah.
And then the acting was great.
Yeah. But you know, that's A24 for you.
They ate.
They ate. They always eat. No, this was all right. It was a zombie movie.
6.2. It was a zombie
6.2.
movie.
Yeah. End of the day,
That's the Letterboxd
Kinda mid-
review.
yeah, that's probably what I'm gonna put on my letterbox. it was a zombie movie. I mean, I've seen better zombie. I would say my favorite. Okay, other than 28 Days Later,
I'd say The Crazies was pretty good.
The Craziest was good. My favorite zombie movie, if we're talking about like a
Resident
real,
Evil, baby. Resident Evil 1.
yeah, is It Comes at Night for me. I think is probably one of the better ones because it doesn't focus on the zombies at all. It's way more about
the people.
the people and just like the horror of it, of not being able to trust anyone at all.
Mhm.
Like with that family that comes in
And they
and
fuck everything up.
dude, like that movie from start to finish is stressful, and then like the cinematography of them like making the widescreen thicker and thicker and thicker until it's like almost like a sliver on the screen. Like that shit is crazy. That's like a film, dude.
Yeah.
This was cool. It had its moments. I like some of the cinematography in it. I know the like weird kill shot moments were kind of strange, but to me, it kind of felt like video game-esque. That felt like what they were trying to do with it, and some of the cinematography was obviously a callback to
I think they were stuck between doing like a John Wick style movie
yeah.
and then like an art film. They were like stuck between the two ideas, which would then
And then
We
they were
just-
like panicking, trying to keep it in the franchise.
and then let's add Jimmy at the end.
Was that Jimmy, the real hero?
The real star of the
I just don't know
franchise.
where he found a bunch of also very platinum blonde dudes in jumpsuits.
I hope they're wigs.
I hope they found matching wigs and the gang went out, dude.
Or they just have like they have a steel on
And
bleach.
also hard as fuck that he flipped that cross upside down. I wonder if they're gonna twist it and it's not. He's actually not that kid in the beginning.
I hope he is that kid.
I hope he is that kid in the beginning. But again, this should have been 28 months later. We should have gotten him in Jimmy's story.
I was like, is that supposed to be Aaron Taylor Johnson as a child?
I was like, no shot.
No shot. No, I feel like we started.
No, that opening scene was crazy though. I wanted to see Jimmy's story.
I wanted to see more of that though.
Literally,
where they're like they're just fucking busting in doors and shit.
No, literally, that's that's what's crazy about the other ones too. Like
that's what I'm saying is that the way that they're running all the time. Like these zombies are scary because they're fucking sprinting at you because it's just sort of like a rage.
Well, like, and it reminded the opening scene reminded me so much of 28 Weeks Later too
when they bust in that
in
house.
the first
that's
scene.
What I'm saying, which is the scariest part of that movie.
The worst fucking scene in the whole movie.
And then he's like, "Yeah, your mom died."
Yeah, I watched her just get torn apart, dude, limb for limb.
I would have done the same thing. I'm not gonna lie to you.
No, I would have too. I don't blame him, and I think that's the fucked up thing is because it's like, what do you do? He had to leave. He was gonna die. Like, I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
Because at the end of the day, she was infected. How was he supposed to know that she would have been special, bro?
Like, and also at the same time, like
you chose that random kid.
He said leave him. I would have left that little fucker.
I would have left that fucker, dude. Not my business. I'm sorry, not my circus, not my monkeys. That kid ain't mine.
I have them. And they're in wherever.
Yeah, were they taken out because of quarantine? Is that the story?
They were on a school trip. They talk about it. They were like,
I forgot
thank God
about
the kids were on a school trip.
That shit's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
But no, that's opening scene, and that's why I like 28 Weeks Later so much too. Is obviously and they didn't have the shock of a plot twist like in 28 Weeks Later about the mom still being alive.
Yeah, and then they go, and then they have like, okay, they've contained it, and now they're like, fuck, we've really lost control of the situation, which I think is like realistic how like very quickly the situation can go badly.
Yeah.
Shame that no one had like was ready for it to go that way.
Yeah.
I like that they gave up after that. Because we don't have the context of 28 months later.
Yeah.
They were like, well, we tried once. That's all like we can do. We're just gonna have to close this bad boy up.
No, but I did like it did feel like they tried to pay homage to the original movies, but I just wish the writing was a bit stronger with like an actual story, like an individual story that we were following. Mm-hmm. We could have like hinted at the Jimmy shit all we wanted, and then just like laid that up for a sequel, sure, but there should have been an actual story with Aaron Taylor Johnson's family. Like, it just...
Or that could have just been a background thing in general. I didn't need to see Jimmy.
Yeah, but, like, it should have only followed Jimmy, or Jimmy could have just been a layup for an obvious sequel that they're planning on making very clearly, which is fine, but it feels weird, one, to open the movie with obviously Jimmy's past.
My thing is, you made this character into a character. You could have just been like, this is what happened in this part of the country. This was a separate instance. Because that alone was like a horrific...
No, that was crazy.
To make that kid a character.
Oh my god, that was insane. Yeah, he should have... I mean, not should have, but he could have died. And that would have made sense.
He could have just like gotten out and that would have just been like, oh...
And him running, like a...
That was just an incident. That's just like an incident that happened in this region. Because if the other part is like in London and that kind of area...
Yeah, it could have just been like a zoom in to a different... And yeah, totally. And I'm okay with the Jimmy stuff, obviously, because it seems crazy. But I just feel like for Aaron Taylor Johnson's family to be the main focus of the story... there wasn't actual enough story about them. Yeah. And it just seemed like the whole movie was a big layup for a movie that we haven't seen yet. You know, for Jimmy, the movie.
Yeah.
The Wrath of Jimmy, if you will.
So obviously he's very successful for himself.
He's been doing great. He got all them rings. He's pimped out in his little jumpsuit.
Yeah, I
think... talk about... It's kind of like Twilight, like how in the the very last movie and the very ending of the book, all of a sudden they bring all the very interesting and cool characters in.
And then you're supposed to forget about them?
Yeah, and like a war never happens, there is no battle or anything. They're just like, oh yeah, all these covens of vampires exist, and they all have different superpowers and all of this
very
stuff.
cool.
And we're all gonna gather them, and then nothing happens. Like, it's so crazy to me that they do that in the book, and that's like one of my biggest problems with Breaking. I like the movie, how they show the fight and they like surprise you,
but
like
in the
that.
book they don't even do
But
that.
the book, dude, no, because you're from Bella's perspective,
Mhm.
so you don't see into the mind of Alice and like the war or whatever. They literally just fucking have an aura off in the field where they're like standing there just like trying to see who has the biggest fucking aura, and then they're like, oh, we have these testimonies from these different people. Look, she is a real girl. And then she touches Arrow's face and does her weird little like mind power thing, and then that's that. And then like the Volturi just like turn around.
Oh yeah, the movie really made that eat.
No, that shit goes hard. No, the way I cry still when I see it, and I know it's fake. I know it didn't happen. To see Breaking Dawn Part 2 again for the first time.
Yeah, that's how I feel about going to see the Harry Potter movies.
Yeah.
Because I knew it was going to happen, like all the things that were going to happen, and I was like...
Travesty.
Oof.
Yeah.
My aunt's blanket did not survive the snot boogers on it.
No, 100%. It's brutal. I'm glad that Breaking Dawn the movie did that, because there was nothing in Breaking Dawn. Nothing happens. She gets pregnant and then she just has the kid, and then the Volturi come and then they just talk it out, and then that's that.
Oh. That's
and then
lame.
There's like the whole middle of the book is from Jacob's perspective.
That's lame.
And it's like him angsting.
Yeah.
And it's pre
Joanne
Renesmee birth.
Joanne did kind of fucking eat with the
No,
war.
Joanne tore it up.
And I hate that bitch, but
I hate
she
that bitch.
fucking ate with that war.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, I'm
'Cause
not
people
woke
were
enough to
fucking dying.
I'm not woke enough to hate Harry Potter. I can hate Joanne, but I am not woke enough to hate Harry Potter.
No, because for someone who's a fucking turf,
Yeah, she kind of ate.
She wrote a very good
Mind you,
story.
trans rights are human rights. we are very leftist. I'm sorry she ate on that. She ate on Harry Potter, and everyone can pretend like it's not true.
I pray that she stole the story.
I can only hope.
I hope that she stole that story,
because
then I
like
can pray
people
someone
also
else.
talk about how there was a book circulating at the time about a boy named Harry Potter who lived in a broom closet.
That's what I'm saying. I hope she stole that story, and then I can praise somebody else.
Yeah,
that would be my hope.
I would love for that, and I'm sorry to the people who don't get it, but the girls
Maybe
who
she's
get
got a ghostwriter or something in the closet.
Look, hopefully.
I want to praise that person.
Yeah, her editors, I'll give all the credit to. You know, whatever. But no, Harry Potter 8. Maybe that makes me too close of a millennial, but it's just the truth.
And I didn't read the Hunger Books games because I do not like that.
Hunger Books games.
Sorry. Hunger Games books.
Yeah.
Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Didn't read the books, but the movies were good.
Oh, and let me tell you something about Miss Suzanne.
Yeah, she's
Miss Suzanne doesn't fucking play. The books, so much more horrifying too. You would actually probably really like them.
Yeah, I just can't get past that first person. It's killer.
No, I know it's tough, but like you kind of have to sit with her in first person to like really get the
no.
grasp.
I understand that the book it benefits directly from her point of view because of the things that happen.
Yeah, like
her waking up and finding out that like there is no district child. Seems like a fucking mic drop,
dude. And then Prim. I'll just say Prim.
So it's cool. It benefits the most from.
Yeah,
her point of view.
I know how you feel.
It's hard. It's hard for me to like read physically read first person, and I don't know what it is. It's just I don't like it.
No, I get you. I understand. Maybe if you did like an audiobook.
That's true. I probably would like an audiobook.
I think you
more.
could, because my thing is
it's hard for me to listen to audiobooks unless I'm like driving somewhere.
Yeah, I can kind of get past maybe even weaker writing in general when I listen to an audiobook.
Yeah, because there's like a level of acting.
Yeah, there's a level of acting. I actually found a really cool one that I'm giving a shot. It's a horror book, but I think like for some of the stuff that I want to read, but I just can't, like, somehow the writing irritates me. I always find an audiobook, it makes it way easier to get through.
Mhm.
So maybe that will help too, because then it's just like someone's telling you a story as opposed
Yeah.
to you like trying to enter the headspace of the baby, you know?
I'm very hesitant because I've already got a headspace of like many babies inside of my head,
Yeah.
so I can't.
Yeah, so maybe if it's
I
an
can't
audiobook,
afford for
it will
me to
just
get
sound
involved
like
again.
me telling you a story about my life, you know?
Yeah.
No, because I think you would really like them, and you would like the horror elements of it, because it is.
No, I took all those
horrific
tests
series.
in 12th grade.
Yeah, when I told you everything,
All
about
the
dogs.
answers, and I was
Yeah.
like, they're doing what with the dogs?
Dude, I'm telling you, those dogs.
Because they didn't really do it in the movie at all.
No, they did. They hint at it, but they didn't like really
do it.
commit.
And like I imagine,
because it's like it's not supposed to just be the dogs have the same color eyes or whatever
They're
as
like
the people.
their
It's like their
literal
literal
eyes.
human eyes are in the dogs. It's like when those golden doodles look like people,
yeah, and
and you're like, yeah. No, it's
Because I
supposed
remember-
to be, and it's supposed to be obvious enough
that she
that
notices.
she clocks it in the heat of the moment.
Yeah.
That she's able to see. Kato's the one who's with them, but like I forgot. I think it's like Glimmer and stuff. She's able to see them and recognize that, and then also to see Rue's eyes.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Dude, no, it's cooked. That shit's tough. And then her like little speech to Kato and them trying to appeal to his fucking humanity of being like, you don't have to fight for this, but because he's like been brainwashed,
Yeah.
it's like the ending scene is just so crazy. And the cornucopia thing, I didn't picture it like how they did in the movies, like the weird rustic metal shit. It's just, it's really crazy. And you know what pisses me off about the second one? I know this isn't about the Hunger Games. The second movie, I think it is impossible for you to not understand what is happening with the field when you can zoom out as much as they do. Because in the book, you have no idea what's going on. They're just being assaulted. And then the gimmick of the games in it is that it's a clock.
Yeah.
And so, because that one bitch is tweaking, she's like, tick tock, or whatever.
Yeah.
The gimmick is that it's a clock, but when you fucking zoom out and you can see all the different things happening in different sections of the thing, it's very obvious what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But in the book, when you're stuck in first person,
Mm-hmm.
she's just like, why everywhere we go are we getting our ass rocked, dude? Why is it always some new shit?
Yeah, I'm tired of this.
Yeah, and everywhere we move, there's some new bullshit going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think, like, that part I didn't like because it removes the, like, suspense of it.
I get what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything to add to that. I think you said all that needed to be said about it.
Yeah.
It's good. I did not think I was gonna, because I was so very much anti.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it. I chose my side in that era of 2012.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? This shit, I get it. I get the
Yeah.
white girls.
Yeah. I'd be with you with your braid.
I got you. I should have hit it too.
Yeah.
Um,
If I could whistle, I would do the thing, but I can't do it good. But yeah, so long story short, 6.2.
6.2. It was a zombie movie.
It was a zombie movie. Aaron Taylor Johnson's fine as fuck.
They paid him just to eat pussy. That seems to be the letterbox review for me.
Love that they the only person that gets an actual sex scene in the movie is the hottest one in it. They just cram that in for no reason.
Yeah, I'm not trying to see fucking Big Dong Alpha do it. I don't want to see that.
Honestly, though, that would have moved the plot a little bit more because I would have understood the breeding situation.
Those people next to you did not understand what was happening.
They didn't know what was going on. And especially
That's his wife. No shit.
Yeah.
And I don't think they have, like, marriage.
No, I don't think the feral zombie people have marriage, babe. I don't think they believe in I don't think they believe in the institution, dog. I'm gonna be honest.
I think he's just fucking knocked one up.
The alpha,
I'm thinking he just picked the meatiest one and said, that's it.
I just have so many questions.
I don't think he's thinking with too much thought. I think he's ripping spines and...
Yeah. No, dude,
getting
that was
ass.
fucking crazy. The way that was just, like, his move was to, like, tear a skull off a body with the spine still attached. Like, that's your thing? This is what you do?
I like that he took it like that. He took the head with the spine and was like carrying it while they were walking away from the guy. He was just like holding it like he was gonna add it to his collection.
He was like, oh, I'll take that.
Yep,
Thanks.
Don't mind if I do.
Yeah.
And he was also just letting them be out there. He wasn't like trying to stop the zombies from attacking him.
His mom was not scared enough for anything.
I mean, she was crazy.
She was crazy, but even in her, like, clarity moments, she wasn't freaked out enough.
No, I would have been like, what the fuck are you doing?
I would smack the shit out of him.
That ass.
I mean, well, you think your dad fucking hit you hard? You brought me out here? Are you on crack?
I want to go back home and die.
Yeah, let's go back to the beach, and we're gonna figure that out.
Yeah, I don't want to be out here.
I don't want to be
I would
out
have been
here.
like, that's very cruel of you to take me out here.
And also, I don't even remember how you know that you were out here, because you told me you were going to school, because I forgot that you were going out.
So now you're both liars. Just like your father.
Just like your father. Everyone is liars, you're right. Including you.
My goodness.
But
at the end of the day, men are liars.
at the end of the day, men lie. They should eat hot chip and lie. Okay, well,
That's it.
that's it. It's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap. 6.2, it was a zombie movie. Popcorn.
We're done.